So, y'all, I'm on my way to North Carolina from Brookhaven, Pennsylvania. I'm in the middle of about a 10-hour drive, long as fuck drive. Been out here in these streets, and really all day has been cloudy as fuck. But it is May 19th in so-called 2020, in which case I must give my reverence and respect for the arrival day of El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X. I have to give my respect. This man was, to me, one of the greatest orators and teachers and leaders of the 20th century. We understand that he was assassinated. If you're paying attention, then you also understand who are responsible for it. That would be the NOI and also the American 3Ks. Don't get this shit fucked up. Incorporated government. They teamed up and had this brother assassinated because he decided that he was not going to sit by and know that there was corruption happening, regardless of who was engaged in the corruption. He wasn't going to sit by and let that corruption be happening on his watch. His grave mistake was believing that the other members of the NOI would share his passion for righteousness. And he learned a grave lesson, that the members of the NOI could give a fuck less about righteousness. They could give a fuck less about actually protecting their own. It was a motherfucking contest of popularity, in which case a lot of those guys hated Malcolm X for being as popular as he was and having the steam that he had. So fuck the NOI, fuck the motherfuckers who have allowed that to happen and then act like they can't even speak to it, they can't speak on it, and they'll even go as far as to disrespect Malcolm X. Some of you saw my live show that I did about the Netflix documentary. Came out with 6-part called Who Killed Malcolm X? And some of y'all saw that live stream. If you didn't, that live is on my Team Rob Live channel, and where I really got into it. I'm not going to get into it heavy on this, but I do want to come in here and give my reverence and my respects to Malcolm X. You to me, I don't think you to disrespect him and the things that he said all the way back in the 60s that's very relevant to this day. To me, you're just a regular ass hater if you're doing that. And if you don't see that the Nation of Islam are responsible, as well as the government. I remember I posted earlier, I say the American government. Some guy want to say it was the CIA. Like, motherfuckers, when I say the government, I'm talking about CIA, FBI, the regular ass cops, the judges, the lawyers, the entire fucking system. When I say the government, I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about every single fucking piece of it that is still terrorizing our people and murdering our people. And the NOI teamed up with these motherfuckers and are still in cahoots with these motherfuckers, if you ask me, teamed up with them to roll out the red carpet to allow for the assassination of Malcolm X. And that same government is responsible for the assassination and murder of Breonna Taylor out of Kentucky. Some of you are familiar with this information. I'm not going to judge through every piece of the details of what happened, but I'll give an overview, and we'll talk about what's going on here and what black people in America and really all over the world need to be very aware of and very cautious of as we continue to exist in this reality that is targeted against you. Now, Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, were asleep or involved. I don't know exactly What I know is that 3 motherfucking cops, 3Ks, 3 cave-ass cops, kicked in their door at 1 a.m. I forgot exactly which date, but it was in February. Kicked in their door, serving a no-knock warrant. We'll get back to no-knock warrants here in a second. When Kenneth heard what was going on in his door, he fired a shot. Hit one of the cops in the leg, in which those cops proceeded to shoot up the entire crib, hitting Breonna 8 times, causing her death. And Kenneth Walker, who shot one of these cops in the leg, was arrested for attempted murder. Now, if you're black and you listen to this, it sounds just like most of the stories that we hear, where we're going to have a black man or woman being brutalized, and the black man or woman being the ones who take on the brunt of the criminality element in this case. Now, many times what the media does, and as well as the self-hating ass conservatives, these black coons out here, they will try to, drudge up the past of the victims, in which case they'll call them criminals. Neither Breonna or her boyfriend, Kenneth, have a criminal record at all, so they won't be able to use that at all. At one time, they were reporting that they just ran up in the wrong house. Updates have shown that, well, they were actually serving a proper warrant to that house where they have surveilled it for months, trying to catch them in the act. They thought it was narcotics being pushed out of the home. There was no drugs, no drug paraphernalia found in the home at all. Recently, a judge from Kentucky allowed for Kenneth Walker to be released to go back to his home for a house arrest. Now, to me, I think the charges are completely ridiculous, but the cops, 3Ks, they're upset. They went in there and murdered a black woman. One of them got shot in the leg. They're upset that they're not holding Kenneth in jail. They mad about this. They don't think it's fair. Now, if you are black, now Kenneth had a legal firearm. Legal firearm, the reason you have a firearm, unlike the cops, is to defend yourself. Is it not? That's the whole purpose for somebody busting up in your shit. You able to bust off a couple shots, let them know, hey, this ain't the motherfucking problem you want. You need to leave me the fuck alone. But these cops took that as an act of war, in which case they justifiably, in their minds, proceed to rain down bullets in the home, hitting her 8 times. Now, what's the purpose of a no-knock warrant? Many would argue that this is to catch drug dealers, or to run up in drug houses, to where the people inside of the dealers and the pushers or whatever the fuck's going on in there, they won't have time to flush the drugs and run away. It's for the element of surprise, in which case this is what the cops will say. But we know where these warrants are being served. We understand and what communities are going to be affected by these laws. So to me, this is a law very specific to black people. Very specific to black people. No-knock warrants are going to be served in black areas on black people. Now, how in the fuck are you supposed to know? Now, these cops show up in plain clothes, no police car, don't announce themselves. They don't do shit. Got a battering ram thing, just knock the fucking door down. How is somebody supposed to know who that is? Or what the fuck they're doing there if no announcement is made as to who you are? Kenneth doing his job as a man to protect his woman in their home, or her home. In this case, they said it was her home, and they felt as though she was helping drug trafficking take place. But he was protecting his woman. Somebody run up in the front door, he's protecting his woman, protecting her home, doing what any man is supposed to do. That's the point of owning a firearm. It's to protect yourself from anybody, even the cops. Now, one of the things that this government likes to do is they like to forget that part of the Constitution where it's telling people to pick up arms in an effort to defend against tyranny. A no-knock warrant is a form of tyranny, if you ask me. If you're telling me I can own a gun to protect myself, not only from the regular citizen, but from all forms of tyranny, that would be cops, that would be a judge running up at a motherfucker with a gun, he can get hit too. Fuck him. CIA, FBI, they can get it too. Fuck them. That's the whole point of owning a weapon. Not to go out here and hunt people down, but to defend yourself. Kenneth was defending himself and his woman. Now he's alive, and what you have to see too is that they came in there with the intent to shoot the whole motherfucking house up. That was their intent anyway. Whether Kenneth had fired a shot off or not, that was what their goal was to do anyway. That's what you're gonna do. The same type of mission that was taken out, or this is what happened in the situation with Fred Hampton. It's the same shit. Run up in there. People are naturally going to defend themselves if they have the weapons to do so. To me, it's a form of entrapment. Oh, well, they were shooting at us. Well, motherfucker, you busted their goddamn door down, no announcement, in plain clothes, with a no-knock warrant. Like, it's entrapment. People with the means to defend themselves, hell, if it had been me, I'd did the same goddamn thing, and many of us would have. Like, who the fuck is this? Bang, bang, bang. Who is it? You shoot first, ask questions last when you're trying to defend your home, your family, your loved ones. I'm not asking who it is till I done rung off at least 2-3 shots at the door. And they're ramming my door down. What they like to do is trap black people into situations, and then they'll be able to claim that, well, that was self-defense. What about the entrapment that took place before that, though? We don't really ever talk about that. Same thing with Ahmaud Arbery. You entrap somebody, force them to defend themselves, in which case he was wrestling for the gun. You force somebody to defend themselves, and then the perpetrators of the crime, of the murder, get to say, well, I was defending myself. Well, motherfucker, we need to talk about the steps that caused that person to go into defense mode. What caused Kenneth to pick his gun up? They're trying to say that they did knock and say it was the police. Why the fuck you get a no-knock warrant to be saying you are the police? We know that's a goddamn lie. The neighbors done testified. They talked to some of the neighbors that them motherfuckers in there ain't hearing nobody screaming nothing about no damn police. So that's gonna be a motherfucking lie. We understand that's gonna be a motherfucking lie. But as a black man and woman in this country, that does not give you permission to breathe a sigh of relief. Like there is actually justice to be done. I was sitting here and I'm watching on Netflix. It's called Trial by Media. I got to the one about Amadou Diallo and that situation and what took place there. Where you have witnesses, where you'll have an unarmed, in this case, an unarmed black man standing outside of his own place, his own apartment, who was shot 41 times. 41 times. Unarmed. They thought they saw a gun. He was reaching for a gun. Who the fuck is reaching for a gun running towards their apartment door? Who reaches for a gun with their back turned, trying to get into their home? But in this situation, I want to say in this case, it was 3 or 4 cave-ass cops down in black areas, like they have a tendency to be, hunting, looking for a reason to murder a black man or woman or child. Do you know what happened? Regardless of the fact that they had no reason to shoot an unarmed black man, damn sure didn't have a reason to shoot him 41 times. They moved the case from the Bronx up to Albany. Mostly white population, right? A jury found all 3 or 4 of them innocent. So see, when you black, and this just happened to be something I was watching. When you're black, what you must understand, what you have to understand, is it doesn't matter what evidence you have in your favor, or what you would deem in our favor. I would argue that there's nothing happening within this legal system that ends up being in our favor when we're up against the actual system, when we're up against cops. 3Ks. Same 3Ks that exist in America. They have that similarity going for them. They are the foot soldiers of white supremacy and oppression. And thus, the entire system will be on their side. They moved the case to Albany for a fairer jury pool, which the only thing about fair is really what they're saying is a white one. That's all. For a white jury pool, because they knew that a jury in the Bronx would have found them guilty because of the media hype that surrounded the case. Amadou's mom, bitch ass Al Sharpton was there. They interviewed him. I can't stand that motherfucker. I really cannot deal with Al Sharpton. I can't deal. But they found these cops innocent. Regardless of the evidence, regardless of the use of clearly excessive force, when you're black, none of that matters. None of that matters. So even though in our minds, to us is what's common sense, what we deem as common sense. Motherfucker run up in my house, I got a gun, I'm gonna shoot at them too. They didn't announce themselves. Open and shut. He shouldn't get no attempted murder charge. And the cops in question should be charged with murder. To us, it's cut and dry every time. Well, to us that have some damn sense. Now, you're gonna have your sellouts out here. Your Candace Owens and Brandon Tatums and ABLs gonna be trying to spin this in a way where, well, they should have did something different, and thus they wouldn't have been having to deal with possibly being murdered or engaging in any criminality whatsoever. They set themselves up by defending, or Kenneth set the entire thing up by defending his woman's home. It's his fault. He should have never fired a shot. You see, that becomes the narrative. And we allow that to become the narrative so often. Now, I already know what's going to happen. Some people like to, tell me that, of course, that I have a negative outlook on what goes on in this country. I don't see how you got a positive spin on anything if you're a black man or woman. I don't see where your positivity is coming from. I don't get it. But I want y'all to understand, you could always go back to the case of Amber Geiger. Just go back to that. Even when found guilty, the sentencing was very light. So see, when we talk about justice, how does Breonna Taylor's family receive justice? Because there is no equal, handing out of justice in this situation, because the only thing that would be just is for those cops who shot her 8 times, for them to all be shot 8 times. That's the only justice that could be served here. So I think one of our issues is asking for justice in the form of jail time, where you have a full-blown murderer get less time. If you're a cop, get less time than a dope boy. What they claim that Kenneth Walker was engaged in, and Breonna Taylor. They were engaged in the drug game, narcotics. Geiger, full-blown murder of Brother John, 10 years. I don't see how y'all black folk aren't bothered by this information. What we need to know moving forward, and you can look at both situations and just oppose both situations. Look at what you got here. In one situation with Arbery, you have a black man who's on a jog, checked out an empty house, didn't have a weapon to defend themselves, and we're saying, well, black men need to have weapons on them to defend themselves. Black people in general need to have weapons on them to defend themselves, and that way a different outcome could take place. In the situation with Breonna and Kenneth, he had a registered weapon, used the registered weapon, and his woman was shot 8 times. Because typically it's going to be more of them run up on 1 or 2 of us. They always come in groups, whether we armed or not. They're going to come in a team. So you shoot 1 shot like Kenneth did, hit a motherfucker in the leg. Well, now you got 2 other motherfuckers just loading your whole house up with bullets. Regardless, we have to be ready to defend ourselves, whether it's in the middle of the afternoon, or whether it's at 1 o'clock in the morning when the cops is trying to serve a goddamn no-knock warrant on us. We got to be ready at all times. The mental place you have to be in to exist as a black man, woman in this country is stressful. You have to be hyper vigilant. You don't have a choice, because you don't even know if you're going to be woke up in the middle of the night and accosted, beaten, brutalized, or murdered. You have no idea. This is what it is to be black in America. People like to downplay that. Breonna wasn't expecting that. Kenneth wasn't expecting that. The cops, they expected to do it. They expected to act out on their no-knock. The reason they had been doing the surveillance and, got the warrant was approved by another member, a judge. Which I've been asking black people for the longest, how the fuck do y'all like judges so much? Like, I don't get it. What is it about judges that meets black people's approval? We'll hate the cops, but have judges that we respect. I don't get that. It eludes me. Because to me, it's fuck them all. Cops, judges, DA, all of them. Fuck them all. But y'all be cool with judges. Watch judges' TV shows. They locking up goddamn black people left and right all over the country. Y'all watch that as a goddamn form of entertainment. I don't get it. But a judge signed off on this warrant and saw that it be served, and these cops are mad that another judge allowed for Kenneth to be put on house arrest. For attempted murder. He shot a motherfucker in the leg. And you get more time for attempted murder and conspiring to murder than you do actual murder. Yes, this is real shit. That's how this so-called justice system is set up. If I either plan it out or shoot a motherfucker in the leg, that's attempted. Attempted murder. Ain't that crazy? And the cops is mad. They want them charges to stick. I hope the family of Breonna does not take a passive or soft approach to this. I'm hoping that they call out the racism and the racist ass system for what it is, and not try to, soft shoot. It's like, I don't want them to be soft about this. I know that's what most of the families do. I know that in Ahmaud's case, his mom's like, no, I think they should get the death penalty. Now, they're not going to, but that still should be the mood, if you understand what I'm saying. That should be the mood. That should be black people's mood towards this system. Anytime our people are brutalized, either by the system or by random ass caves out here calling themselves protecting a goddamn neighborhood of any kind, unjustly. In both these cases, the black people weren't committing crimes. In the case of Breonna and Kenneth, they don't even have criminal records. At some point, y'all black folk gonna have to stop telling me that I'm too serious and I'm too mad. And y'all better get y'all motherfucking asses on board, because I don't know what game it is that y'all playing out here. They can just come in here and murder us. There was a little black girl some years back. She was murdered in her sleep. Little 7-year-old black girl. Murdered in her sleep. By some fucking cops. Black woman. Neighbor called in a wellness check. And I'm mad her name is eluding me. She shot down. Through the window of her house. Killed. Where her nephew's sitting right there. Like, what the fuck game are you niggas out here playing? Maybe maybe something is wrong with my perception. What is the game that y'all playing? Why do y'all run around here acting like there's some light-hearted shit going on out here? And God forbid a motherfucker be mad about it. Tell me what it is that y'all looking at to where y'all still playing. Are we waiting on the next one, the next case? No matter what this government does, no matter how many times it's disappointed us in every single way, we refuse to see that the only way is for us to come together as a motherfucking people and stand together as a people. Not to march. I'm not telling y'all to stand and start marching and screaming, no justice, no peace. What the fuck does that shit mean? I watched this happen in the and when I was watching this documentary on Netflix about Amadou, and they were screaming, "No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace." Well, no justice happened, right? What the fuck is no peace? When does the consequence start? What the fuck does no peace really mean in the grand scheme of this thing? What is that? No peace. Because you're telling a system, well, if you don't give me justice, then I'm not going to give you peace. Where? When we say that shit, what does it mean? And I really hope people made it to this point in this video to answer this question for me. What does that mean? No justice, no peace. Same thing as bitch ass Farrakhan, justice or else. What is these consequences? What are we talking about? What is no peace? And what is else? Or else? What do these things mean? Why are we sitting out here chanting this type of shit? What do you want? Justice. When do you want it now? Like, who the fuck cares what y'all is screaming and talking about? Nobody. This system does not respond to that. Those people were sitting out there screaming for days for Amadou. For days, every day at the fucking courthouse, every day out in the streets, every day on the media, and guess what? Not guilty. No justice, no peace. Like, what? What do we be talking about, y'all? I want to know. Because it's blowing my motherfucking mind. We running for a mod. Running with the mod. Like, what is this stuff for? What is it all about? I'm sure y'all be making some grand gesture about Breonna. Don't know whether their family's going to lead it or what they be doing. They no justice, no peace, or all this shit is trash, yo. We don't have to say a goddamn thing. All black people need to do is get on the same fucking mindset as to what's even going on. Instead of me and other people having to convince the masses of black people what is actually going on. We got to convince folk. After all this time, after all this treachery and nefariousness of this government and of the motherfucking caves, of the racist white people here that are a part of this establishment, we still having to convince folk. What is that? Black people still praying. That's not stopping us from being slaughtered. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Maybe Jesus' old bitch ass was asleep. It was late, right? Not protecting nobody. Cops get to leave this motherfucker with a bullet wound to the leg and alive. A black woman murdered, shot 8 times. But, man, mad love to everybody who made it to this point in this video, in this commentary. I did run off on this video for a while, but I was supposed to do a live about this, but I haven't had the time. You know, I've been driving, I've been spending time with my children, you know, just doing that. So I haven't really had the time to do it, but I figured I would do it while I was rolling, because I said I was going to talk about this shit. And then seeing that shit about Amadou, man, it's just like for so long, like, and that's in the 90s. Like, that's not even, hell, I watched another one before that was a subway vigilante was before that, and this happened in New York in, I want to say, the late 80s or mid to late 80s. This white man goes on a subway, says these 4 black boys are trying to kill him. He shoots all 4 of them and gets off. Shoots and kills all 4 of them and gets off. And he was clearly a fucking racist. Clearly a fucking racist. Clearly out here acting like that. But these things are happening all the time. And black folk out here playing games. Our kids see us playing, y'all. They see us playing. So they gonna play. And their kids gonna see them play, and they gonna play, and thus we end up in the same place we are now, in the same place we have been for decades and generations to come. Because we playing. We playing and praying. That's all we do. Play games and then pray and try to pray it away. That's all we good for. Fuck a RIP. We're not going to do that for Breonna. We didn't do it for Ahmaud. We don't do RIPs over here on this motherfucking channel. Fuck RIPs. Fuck all the coping mechanisms that you niggas done came up with to make you feel as though you're doing your part. Fuck your praying hands. Fuck your prayers to the family. Fuck your condolences. Fuck all the shit you niggas be talking about. Fuck all of it. That shit trash. And all it's making you is feel justified in you sitting on your ass, continuing to coon, continuing not to pay attention to what's going on out here, continuing to not teach your child what's going on out here, continuing to not raise a defensive people. People who know how to use guns. All this dancing and shit y'all doing. But that's all the fuck I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say, y'all. This shit, it kills me. It kills me that these things happen and black people only care for about 48 hours. And we go right back to cooning. That bothers me. That we not serious. Like we don't got kids. But that's all the fuck I wanted to say, y'all. Y'all comment if you need to comment. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Links to follow me on social media in the description box. Black first, second, and third. Shout out to Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. I'm out.